Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and today I'm coming to you with a From the Vault video, part of my video series where I show off certain guns in my collection and kind of talk about them and the stories behind them and what they are. Obviously, I'm a collector. I like to talk about guns. So this is the kind of video you like. Well, here you go. This is my HK91. So this is one of the legacy guns from HK. So it's a roller locking 308 battle rifle. Well, it's really a semi-auto version of that. And the history of this particular model is very interesting in that there were a number of different variants. This particular example was imported in 1982. In fact, it even has the date code of IC on it. So that verifies its import date. This is the successor to the HK41, which is a successor essentially, or as a semi-auto version of the H&K G3 battle rifle. And that is a successor essentially to the Set-Me rifle from Spain, which is a successor to the STG-45 from Germany during World War II. So essentially it's a continuation of that roller locking system which was developed in the 1930s in Poland. And the difference between the HK91 and the HK41, because they look almost identical, are some receiver issues when it comes to being able to put on or attach full auto lowers. Now, unlike an AR-15, this particular gun, the serialized part is the upper receiver. So the lower receiver, you can actually buy full auto lower receivers and so forth because it's an unregulated part. You just can't put them on these guns because they're not designed to accept them. There's a semi-auto shelf and a block. And also the bolt and bolt carriers are a little bit different, so they don't have a ledge to trip an auto sear. So a lot of the differences in variants come from the fact that they had to be altered for civilian sales here in the United States to avoid the machine guns and in the National Firearms Act, machine gun bans and so forth. This is also a really valuable gun in the United States, not only because it's an HK legacy gun, but because in 1991, George H.W. Bush signed an executive order prohibiting the importation of what were referred to as assault weapons or non-sporting firearms. And so this particular gun and this particular model was banned from importation from that time on. But being that it's from 1982, it was in the country before the ban, so it is completely legit and legal. So being a pre-ban gun, as I said, it's worth some money. Now, these are not as expensive as the HK93s, which are chambered in 5.56, or the HK94s, which are in 9mm. But I purchased this off of Texas Gun Trader years and years ago, and I knew I wanted to start collecting some of the HK legacy guns, but like real ones, not the copies. I know there's some fantastic copies out there, like, was it the PTR 91? A lot of people like that. There's some Set-Me parts kits that have come into the country, and people have used US-made receivers to produce those guns as well. But I wanted a real HK legacy gun. Well, I purchased this from a guy. I remember I bought it at a gun range, is where I met him. And it was in great shape. He told me he did not have the original box or paperwork. However, since he bought it in the 1980s, he was the original owner. It had only been shot 5 times. And not 5 times as in went to the range 5 times, literally only had 5 rounds through it. When I inspected this gun, it was virtually brand new. It's literally just been sitting in a safe. The only thing he had altered that I had to change was he had put on a shell deflector, which clamps on over the receiver, and he had the carry handle as well. And the way that these receivers work, obviously there's no Picatinny rail or anything, the way that they clamp on, they would actually scratch the paint on the receiver. So I had to send this off to investment grade firearms and have it completely refinished and have those kind of scuff marks removed. And what was really cool is that they are able to duplicate the exact color of the paint. While the later model 91s and most of the clones use a black paint, this actually used a very dark gray paint. It's kind of like the early M16s that would have a gray anodization. This one has a gray finish to it. So I'll kind of show you here, maybe it will come across on the camera, but this gun is in just immaculate condition. It has all the date codes everywhere it needs to be. The paint on it now is perfect. It just had to be kind of touched up. When you take the gun apart, the bolt and the bolt carrier and all the rollers in it are absolutely in perfect shape. I got a bunch of magazines, and these magazines are 20 rounders for $308, and you can pick these things up for like $4 or $5. They're super, super duper cheap. It uses both a paddle release like a AK-47, and it also has a push button release, which I think is useless because it's so far away from your shooting finger. So, but you have both of those options here. It is a single pin, really, I guess it's a double pin lower because the originals were 3 pins. So you have 2 pins in the back for stability. Normally the HK94s have 1 pin here in the back, or like MP5s and things. And then there would also be a pivot pin here in the front. And this is where that sear block is. So the lower receivers for the HK91 don't have that pin, and the entire front of the lower receiver rests on this, what's called the semi-auto shelf. So that's it. I've had this, I don't shoot it. It's part of, I said, part of my just HK collection. The fact that it's in such pristine condition. It does have a couple of things, also accessories that are really neat, is that it does have the bipod built into the handguard, which I do like. They did offer this. A lot of times you'll see the handguards that don't have this. And there was also a version where the bipod was actually on a swivel in the back, and those are really rare as well. But I got the one with a bipod built in. These can be kind of expensive if you try to find an original one. And the other thing that I did change from the, I guess its original configuration, is when it was at Investment Grade Firearms, I did have Jason there add the grenade lug, or the grenade launcher lug, right up here in the front. So that's off of a DMIL G3 rifle. So it gives it a little bit more of the proper look. So I'm gonna kind of zoom in here and show you some of the markings here. So there are the importation markings, made in Germany, or actually West Germany. And then on this side, I'm gonna cover up the serial number right here, but here are the markings on this side. HK91 has an A prefix to the serial number, caliber 308, and the IC, which is the date code. Now, you can get a lot of cool modern accessories for this. You know, they do make polymer lower receivers. B&T makes handguards for this thing. I mean, you can really deck these things out, even though this is a rifle that was designed in the 50s. And the Setme, I guess it really came out in 1958. So really the age of this design, this particular gun, is as old as the AR-15, going back to the late 50s. But they have modernized it in some ways, even though no military still carries this particular gun. It was a battle rifle used in Europe for a very, very long time. Now, of course, we've gone to the intermediate cartridge and no longer the full power 308. But it's just an awesome, awesome gun. And I'll tell you what, if you decide to get all those accessories, I mean, you can put on Picatinny rails, telescoping, folding stocks, polymer lowers. This is just the original all metal lower, so I just keep everything on this, trying to be as close as it would have been back in 1982 when it came into the country. So there you go. So just a little from the vault video. One of my, I think this is kind of a win. I bought this thing at a good price. I invested a little bit of money, and they're only going up in value now, especially ones in pristine condition like this particular example is. And one of the things too about the HK Legacy guns I absolutely love, I love the diopter sights in the back. It's one of these features that most HK guns have. They even put it on the MR556. I love these diopter sights. I find them to be very easy to use. They're very logical in how the little peep sights work within them. And I've always loved the look of an HK front sight as well. That ghost ring with the little pillar in the front. So this is just a fantastic, fantastic gun. And it's a great conversation piece and one of the very few 308s I have in my collection. So there you go. So do you guys own any HK Legacy guns? The 91, the 93, 94, or even going back to the 40 series? I mean, those are super rare. So there you go. So let me know if you have any questions, and as I said, do you own any HK Legacy guns? So let me know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.